my whole thing was anybody can do this. You want to know why anybody can do this? Because I'm 24. I got long ass hair. I'm really scruffy, and I got earrings. And I'm selling life insurance to seniors. So that was my whole thing. Was like, look as off-putting as possible and crush it, so that new agents don't have any excuses. So.
Hey, before we get into the podcast, really quick, I want to tell you a little bit more about Medicare Masterclass. Medicare Masterclass is a training platform specifically for agents who want to sell more Medicare. And it's built by a Medicare agent named Ashley Van Gundy, who consistently writes over 150 policies per month, even outside of AEP. So I'm going to say that again, over 150 policies per month, even outside of AEP. And she doesn't run a massive team. She has a really great sales process, and her marketing is dialed in. So what does Medicare Masterclass include? Exactly how to do that and much more. So you have the 7-step talk path to show you exactly what to say. And then you'll also have lead generation mastery to show you how to dial in your marketing and have more leads than minutes in the day. So if you want to sell more Medicare, this is the best training available on the market. To enroll, go to MedicareMasterclass.com. Let's get back into the podcast. Guest that we have today is a stud. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I have a lot of information on him, but I'll save it because I think it'll be better if he goes through it. I watched some of his other stuff, and he explains it really well. So today we are with Evan MacGuffie. Did I say that right, Evan?
Yeah, we could be cousins with these last names.
That's what I was thinking. My last name is McAfee. I grew up my entire life with it being mispronounced, like McCafe, McPhee, and I have to correct people every single time. So anytime I see a name like yours, I have to make sure I do it right.
Better get it right.
How you doing
today? Goofy. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on. Pleasure to be here.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. So you have a really interesting background from start to where you're on now, and we're going to touch on a lot of cool things. We're going to ask for advice on some of the things you've done. You've had some really good accomplishments, absolutely crushed the game. Let's just start before you got into insurance. So what were you doing before and then what was the transition like? Like what was the first line of business you got into, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so 2020 March is when I sold my first insurance policy, which was life insurance. That's what I got started in. The way that I got into insurance was I was living in Las Vegas at the time, and I was 23 running a club crawl on the Strip. So I would take 100, 150 drunk people every night from bar to bar, club to club. And I was a promoter, and that was my life, right? And it was great, being 23. And I was saying to myself, man, I need to make some money because it was a lot of fun, right? It was a ton of fun, but I was living paycheck to paycheck, which is okay for a period of time. But once you look ahead and it's like, hey, if a big bill came out, or hey, if I want to go take a vacation, I got to go work 2 weeks straight, nonstop to take 7 days. It just wasn't adding up for me. So I got introduced to insurance by a colleague of mine who was at a networking event. I started going to a networking event. She's like, hey, I'm switching insurance companies. Do you want to come to a meeting? And I was like, Julie, well, I'd rather watch paint dry. That sounds terrible. She's like, no, there's a young guy named Andrew whose bonus was $50,000. I was like, wow, well, that's more than I make in a year. It's just his bonus. And he's probably making 150, 200 grand a year. And he got like a $50,000 bonus. Well, I go to this meeting. It's Family First Life. It's Andrew Taylor. He's giving his presentation. He did make 150 grand, but he made 150 grand that month in overrides, and his bonus that month was 50 grand, right? And he's 30, and he's standing up there, and I know Andrew now, and he's okay with me, because I've told him his face, I'm like, dude, one of the reasons that I felt confident about getting into insurance is because I saw you look like a loser up there, but you were crushing it. And so I knew that would be good, right? If this guy can do it, I'm going to slay the dragon. So that was on a Monday. By Friday, I took my life insurance test, life and health, passed it. And then 2 weeks later, I sold my first policy. Now the thing was, I got into the field, like I said, March 7th or March 8th. What happened the next week? COVID happened,
Yeah.
right? So I wanted to dive in. Yeah, I wanted to dive in anyway, but my job on the strip disappeared, right? Everything on the strip disappeared. It was like a ghost land. And I had nothing else to do, and I just got an insurance license. It was a good thing I got it in February because the license centers, testing centers were down for 4 or 5 months because of COVID. So I jumped in balls deep, right? And there was a ton of final expense Facebook leads because everybody was worried about dying at like the beginning of COVID. I just went for it, and that's how I got started.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. And what's cool to see is, I mean, at the moment, it probably was like, man, what am I going to do? When everything's shut down, you're on the strip and that job kind of goes away, just like a lot of service jobs did. But what I've noticed is a lot of people that get into the insurance industry, they tend to kind of half step it at first. Like they have a full-time thing and then they kind of step away from that and they start doing insurance a little bit. So it kind of forced you to jump in, like you said.
It did.
Which is
it's
really
kind of
cool.
like the mother bird, like kicking the toddler bird out of the nest and be like, better have some wings.
Yeah, that's important. And your start. It's funny that you bring up when the person invited you to the conference. They're like, hey, I promise it's not what you think it is. Like you can make a lot of money. Because when I first got into insurance, I was 19 at the time. And I was about to go into the military, and one of my buddies who was in insurance kind of said the same thing. He's like, hey, before you do that, just come work with me. And I'm like, insurance? I feel like only old people do insurance. Like I don't even know I had insurance at the time. And he's like, no, I promise it's not as bad as you think it is. Like come in, the environment's cool. Awesome. And that was in Vegas, right?
Las Vegas, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Cool.
I can relate to that too. Like when I first started, I just went for it. And then there was other people that like still kept another job. And it's crazy to see the people that just go all in versus like have that safety net. And they tend to, not be at the same progression as other people. So even with like PNC agents that are getting ready to do Medicare, I'm like, well, do you have somebody in your office that can do it full time? Because really, if you don't have someone working it full time, it's not going to be the same way. And then I was thinking in Vegas, if you can lead people, the drunk people to bar hop, like get that group of people to leave that bar and go to a different one. I'm like, you could lead a client to get life insurance or a sell, because that's got to be like a whole new thing.
Yeah, 100%. Yep. So the first policy you ever sold was life insurance. How long were you in life insurance? What did you do? Because I know you crushed it, but I'll let you talk about it.
Yeah, so I was neck deep in life insurance for about a year and a half, and I did really well. I had out of those like year and a half, I had 14 months where I paid $20,000 a month straight. So it was like 14 consecutive months where I did at least 20K. And I had a 12 month streak where I did 405,000 in issue paid business, which at Family First Life, that's considered Hall of Fame. And that's really the reason that I was like chugging for it. But yeah, I mean, I've done it all. I had a month where I did 70,000. I've done face-to-face door knocking, Facebook leads, direct mail leads. I moved from Vegas to Reno, Nevada, because there were so many agents joining FFL in Vegas. I was like, Jesus, all the leads are drying up. So I moved up to Reno, opened up an office with Sean, Mike, and Paul McLean from FFL there. It was doing really well. And the way that I got into Medicare was we were doing well with the office in Reno, and the agency was issue paying about 100 or 120,000 a month, which was cool, but all I really wanted to do was sell, and that's my skill set. That was my skill set at the time. And as you might know, Rob and Ashley, selling and managing, two completely different skills. And just because somebody's really good at selling, just because somebody's really good at selling doesn't mean that they're going to be really good at managing, and vice versa. Right. So for me, it was about getting that passive income or override income where you can leverage. And I found that doing that was by building a team. Well, it would just stress me out too much. And it's probably because I wasn't able to set expectations right with my new recruits, my new agents. Maybe I wasn't able to delegate the way that I wanted to. It falls on me at the end of the day because there's plenty of successful insurance managers out there who scale a business. So it could be done. It's just I didn't have the right skill set, necessarily the right support at the time. So I was like, this Medicare thing seemed pretty cool. And I transitioned. I gave my agency away to my top producer, put him at the top comp I could, put all the agents underneath him. I'm like, dude, you're in it to win it, run with it. And he did. He's doing really well with that agency. But I was like, I'm just going to go lone wolf, Medicare. Nobody's calling me for underwriting. Nobody's calling me for contracting. I'm just going to build up my book of business, get that mailbox money, and deuces. All right, I love you guys, but bye. And so that's how I got into Medicare. And that was like 2.5 years ago. I got into Medicare.
Okay. What made you choose Medicare? Because insurance is a pretty broad field. Life insurance is a lucrative one. But I feel like, what made you go into Medicare compared to like health or P&C?
It's a good question. I had a couple clients who asked me if I was doing Medicare, if I could help them with their policy. And I like sort of knew how to do it. So I like called this guy that I knew and I wrote a couple med sups. But I had a client that I sold life insurance to who was a Medicare producer. And she was captive at a local, it's a small, what do you call them? A small health plan out of Reno, Nevada called Prominence. And she was like, yeah, this past AEP, I added 150 clients. So I'm like, okay, what does that mean? What do you get paid for that? Because we're going over income, like how much life insurance do you need? She's like, yeah, I get $25 a month after the first year in renewals every month that they stay on. I'm like, geez, it's like $4,000 or something. I forget what the number was at the time. And she's like, yeah, it's pretty good. I work like half the year. Like, you work half the year. I work 6 days a week and Christmas. So that's what planted the seed. And then I was saying to myself, reflecting, 6-9 months later, I'm like, dude, this Medicare thing, there might be something to it. So I went online and I looked up how to be a Medicare agent because FFL is all about life insurance. And I love FFL and I did really well there. I love all the people that I was with. So good folks over there. But I looked online and I found Medicare Millennials on YouTube. So I call up Ethan. He had his number in there. Call up Ethan. Got contracted. A couple months later, I wrote my first policy. And all I did was take my skill set and my work ethic from life insurance and transition over Medicare. And it was going through the life insurance to Medicare. Cool, as Ashley would say, going from drunk people to life insurance to Medicare, right, was like training with a weight vest on, right? It was like Goku in Dragon Ball Z training at like 10 times Earth gravity, right? Because I go into Medicare, it's like no social security, like doing advanced plans, no social security number, no routing, no account, $0, and it's just going to give you extra benefits. Boom. So I did really well with Medicare Advantage. I sold 600 plans in my first 12 months. I broke my FMO record for the most plans in an agent's first 12 months. Yeah.
That's phenomenal. I mean, to be able to like do that just shows like, one, that you are a great salesperson and just like your drive and everything, like that's just like phenomenal to be able to do that. How did you get leads for that? Because I know you said on life insurance that they were giving you leads. How did you get those with Medicare?
Yeah. So it's one thing to be able to tell my story and tell like all the highlights and the stuff that I accomplished, but it's like, how do you actually do that? So with life insurance, I was dropping $1,500 a week on direct mail leads, which is direct mail final expense. I took that same budget and put it into Medicare. Now, the deal that I had with my upline at the time was they would drop the mail for me and bill me $25 per lead that came back. Then they would give me a bonus of $75 for every sale. So it's $25 a lead, $75 bonus for each one that I sell. So if I sell 1 out of 3 leads that I get, then it covers the cost. You see what I'm saying? Right? 3 times 25. Yeah. So that was my whole thing is if I can close more than 1 out of 3 or just 1 out of 3 of these leads, I'm good to go. And my closing ratio was like 35%. So it was right over a third. And at that point, I'm saying to myself, okay, well, if I can maintain this clip, then it's just a matter of volume. And so
Right.
I had, yeah, I had a really good appointment center. I was like, my FMO loved me because I would do trainings like this and I would give back to them in more ways than just overrides. And so they're like, yeah, crank it, just give it to them. So I would get like 40, 50 leads a week, have my appointment center set me, I don't know, 12 or 15 appointments a week. And then in the middle, I would just door knock. But this was all face to face. So within an hour in Nashville and then like within an hour outside of Nashville.
Wow.
I
And you were
think that's
door
so
knocking.
cool. What were you saying, Rob?
I don't think I've really heard much about people door knocking for leads. Maybe I'm just out of the loop on that, but you just did that in
Yeah,
your
well,
spare time?
no, Rob, I just did it for fun. No, they enacted, this was before CMS enacted the new
Yeah.
rule about like door knocking. But even when I was doing it, I mean, like, to be completely honest with everybody, it's like there's kind of a gray area when I was doing it. And I did get a complaint one time, and they're investigating. I'm like, listen, I was door knocking for the Medicare savings program. It didn't say Advantage on here, right? These were LIS
Yeah.
leads, right? MSP is different. So it was okay, like, it is what it is. But I would treat my people right. I wasn't trying to finesse anybody, put them in a proper plan, write good business, and answer calls and do customer service for all my clients.
And honestly, that's the thing too. Like, I think sometimes CMS or Medicare forgets that if you can go knock on their door, you most likely probably live in the area where they could probably find you. So, I mean, when you're working in your local area, like, we're the agents that are like, hey, we got your back. Like, I don't want to get a charge back. Like, when you're at a 1-800 number, then that's when I feel like, more likely to, do things that aren't, necessarily in their best interest, or maybe you're a captive agent and the person on the phone doesn't realize that. And you can only offer them the best of what, Humana or United or Aetna has. So you don't really have, all of the different plans available. But I mean, that's the thing too. I feel like sometimes you get so in your head with all of these rules with Medicare, but like, you got to get out there and do action. Like, if you're not like doing activity, then you're not going to be, getting results. So kudos to you.
Right.
That, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, 100%. So walk us through the process of selling 600 policies in your first year. Did it start slow and then you had to kind of find your rhythm, or did you just hit the ground running? How did that process go?
I mean, it might sound like a lot, but it didn't feel like a lot. There was a dude that I used to work with. I could get him on this podcast if you wanted to. He did 800, right, in 12 months.
Wow.
Yes, please.
He was just buying more leads, and he would work like 7 days a week. But for me, I would be in the field Monday to Saturday, and I might take like a day or half a day in the office for whatever. But I had an assistant who would set appointments for me and handle like a little bit of back office stuff. So my whole thing was, what was it? 2 sales a day. I couldn't have lunch until I had at least 1 sale, and I couldn't have dinner unless I had 2 sales, right? Or it was like 7 or 8 o'clock. So,
hey, that'd be a great Medicare diet plan.
Yeah, but my whole thing was my whole thing was $25 a month. I need to get to 400 plans as fast as possible. That was my goal. 400 plans, 25 bucks a month. That's 10 G's a month. I'm good, right? So out of that 600, I did 400 in 6 months, and my goal was 20 apps a week. 20 apps a week was like 4 apps a day, and if I had 6 appointments, I could totally close 4 apps a day, total. So, and if I need to work an extra day, so be it. So yeah, it was just having enough people to talk to, and then also being super strict on my time. Right? I didn't really have that much of a life, to be honest with you. I do now, but why now? Because I put in the work, right? Because I was saying to myself, Evan, how long do you want to be poor for? The answer is
Mhm.
as little time as possible. So I will not have a social life for 6 months, 8 months. I'll work the monkey off my back, so to speak, and then I'll chill out. I'll join like a country club or whatever, like I'll enjoy my life after that. But you just got to get like the monkey off your back. You got to get a financial foundation, you get some mailbox money coming in. And that was my whole thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's exactly how I was. I worked, 7 days a week during AEP and just full time. And like, now I'm like, okay, I want to have friends. I want to have a social life. And so I'm just now like starting to like develop that side of my life, because you really do, when you're an entrepreneur starting a business, you have to give it everything you've got, because it's like if you don't get it launched and going, then you're just kind of like dragging on this time that it would take to like get that 400 policies ends up taking 4 years instead of 1 year. So that's really
Right.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you said that most of it, if not all of it, was face to face, right?
It was all face to face. Yeah.
All face to face. Okay. Did you ever try selling over the phone at all,
Yeah, I
or
did.
no? Was it all right?
Yeah.
All right, that's what I'm looking
Yeah.
for. How'd that go?
I mean, I closed some business, but it wasn't my thing. So I did it for 2 weeks with life insurance. I was getting inbound live transfers, and it was cool. But
Gotcha.
after like the third or fourth day, I was ready to rip my hair out. I'm like, I need to get out of this office, and I know I need to go and service some D-SNPs and go hang out with some people and sell some goddamn policies. I cannot stand being on the phone and being in an office all day. Yeah. And
Right.
and I wasn't like, and if I'm not enthusiastic about it, then I'm not going to give my all. I'm not going to be, what is it? If you feel good, you play good. If you play good, you win. I wasn't feeling good about it, so
Yeah.
I just went back to my wheelhouse.
I miss it. Sometimes I used to go out into the field all the time. Like I would go to people's houses and meet with them, and it was just so rewarding. And it was nice to get out of the office. And now, I'm more in the management side. But it's like
Yeah.
I'm totally like you, where it's like my gifting is definitely more in sales, and management is just, it's a totally different ball game. And so I sometimes am like, man, I just want to be out there like meeting with people and doing all of that. So I miss it a lot because it is so rewarding and it's so fun. It's always different.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like every day is a new adventure. There's not the same day twice. And I mean, I've always thought of starting like a reality TV show of like Medicare face to face or final expense like face to face sales. And you have like the Facebook glasses that have the cameras. Dude, the shit that we can talk about, the stories that the three of us have from being in the field, right? You know if you know. Some
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah, you can definitely get some really good stories from being in the field, especially door to door. I mean, the type of people that you meet, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Cool. So, with the leads that you were getting, I know the company was doing that. Was there anything specific about what they were sending out or what they were doing, or was it just basic direct mail?
It was like, do you qualify for the Medicare savings plan that would get you, what is it, 148 a month back, and then the next year is like 170 a month back, with like dental, vision, hearing, XYZ. Fill out this postcard, so I fill it out by hand. And then I would have, the way that I would start all my appointments is I'd have my lead in hand, my little briefcase, knock on the door. If they remember me, cool, I'm here. I'm going to walk in. If they don't remember me, like, oh, well, listen, you had filled out this postcard in the mail, filled out by hand, you sent it back in an envelope, you licked the envelope. No, I'm just kidding. You sent it back.
Your DNA now.
Right. Is this your handwriting, right? And they look at it like, yeah, good to go. In my head, I'm like, yeah, you can't do that with a Facebook lead. So that's why I love direct mail so much. It's like, all right, this is your handwriting. All right, listen, just gonna take me 10 minutes to see what you qualify for. You want my shoes on, shoes off. What does it mean if my shoes? If I'm asking you,
Oh,
shoes on,
I
shoes
like
off?
that. That's good.
What
You
does
wear
that mean?
shoes on, shoes off.
means I'm coming in the goddamn door. I'm gonna
Yeah,
sell you some
yeah,
insurance.
absolutely.
And it's a sign of respect too. Like you're almost just like, hey, like this is me. You filled this out. I'm here to fulfill a request that you have. Do you want my shoes on or off? Like as a sign of like, hey, you asked for this. I'm here right now to help you. And I think that that's like sometimes people forget like how to just like word things to where it just comes across better. And I think that that's great for door to door stuff. I love it.
The definition
Yeah,
of assuming the close. Do you want my shoes on or
Yeah.
my shoes off?
Yeah.
right.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. The way that I would start my appointments, right, is like, you guys know, as a producer, you got to frame the appointment. You take control. It's like, listen, Ashley, you have filled this out a couple weeks ago. When you were filling out, was there anything particular you were looking to accomplish by doing so? Right? And then this is just like I'm shooting in the dark, but I'm just trying to find what'll land. If they wanted like a dental, vision, hearing. If they wanted to, do you have any meds? And I would mention where you're looking for extra dental, or is there medication that's going to get covered? Your doctor costing too much. And then you have that pain point. You talk about that pain point.
Yeah.
That pain point gives permission to look into new plans, right? And you get the scope signed. And then I would, whenever I'm training an agent, I'm like, you have to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger and pull the lever, right? You have to pull a lever. Like you have to lean on something, right? You have to lean on one pain point. There could be a couple of them. You lean on one, and that's what you lead with when you have the proposed plan that's going to better fit their needs, right? And you don't want to give them two proposed plans. You give them one single one to think about. Well, not to think about, but like to contemplate for that second. You lead with that, and if they take it, and you overcome objections, and you take it from there. That's essentially like how I would assume and frame all my appointments.
Awesome.
Yeah. I love it.
Did you ever try Facebook leads or anything like that?
I did with life insurance.
Okay.
With Medicare, no.
Gotcha.
So still with Medicare, are you only doing is direct mail like your only like thing that you're doing as far as like marketing, things like that?
Are you talking about right now?
Yeah.
Nowadays, I only handle referrals. I'm not really in the field. I've only like sold 10 policies in the past couple months just because MediZeus is my full-time job now. But I got in the field probably October.
Okay.
I just commend your drive. Like I'm so excited to talk about that too. But like, I mean, that's to just go. It's like you have so much confidence, and you exude that confidence. And I think sometimes people don't believe in themselves enough, and it holds them back. But I mean, you literally went from being, top at your company for life insurance, and then you said, hey, I see an opportunity here. I'm going to go do this. And then you went and did Medicare, and you still have your Medicare book, but then you found a way to help out other agents that have Medicare books of business. And maybe we should just go ahead and like talk about that because I want to know more.
Yeah, let's get into it. Yeah, take it away, Evan. Tell us all about what you got going on now and how it started. That story is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just mention this. As far as the confidence goes, I realized like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it is, I was somewhere in college, and it's like, dude, everybody's just worried about themselves. Nobody actually cares that much about you except for your parents. And so if everybody's looking at themselves, they're not really looking at you. So it doesn't even take that much to seem that confident. Am I really that confident? I don't know, but I just don't have that mental noise of that self-criticism that so many people, especially new agents, have, and you're basically getting in your own way that way. So, and I made a point. You guys see me now, and I got short hair, and I got glasses, and I'm wearing, a polo shirt.
Sure.
But back when I was doing life insurance, and I was in sales, right? My whole thing was anybody can do this. You want to know why anybody can do this? Because I'm 24. I got long ass hair. I'm really scruffy, and I got earrings. And I'm selling life insurance to seniors. So that was my whole thing, was like, look as off-putting as possible and crush it so that new agents don't have any excuses. So anyway, that was a little digression. Yeah. If you guys go on my Facebook, if you go to Facebook and you look at like 2 or 3 profile photos ago, you'll see like Evan with the long hair and the lettuce.
Yeah, maybe we should pull some up. We'll pull some pop-ups up here
Yeah,
of
we
old
will.
Evan crushing it in life
I
insurance.
think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you buy life insurance from this guy? If the answer is no, that means that anybody can do this because I sold a shit ton of life insurance and I look like that. So don't take yourself too
Yeah.
seriously. And even if it's a bad day, it's still all good.
I think that's going to be the intro to the podcast.
Maybe.
Would you buy life insurance from this guy? And
Yeah,
have the two
long hair,
pictures?
scruffy beard, ripped up t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So really quick before we get into MediZeus, because that's going to be a really, really crucial topic, I think. What was your like background like growing up? Were you, obviously you said like you don't really think about having a lot of confidence, or you don't have a lot of the self-criticism that a lot of people have, but did you excel at everything you did? Because you went into life insurance, crushed it first year, went into Medicare, crushed it. So it kind of seems like it's a natural thing. Is it always like that? Or was there something that happened?
Yeah, there is a book. I've never read it, but I know about it. It's called The Winning Effect. It basically says that when you start winning, then you start winning more and you start winning more. And it's just like a compounding effect. Growing up, I was an only child. I guess I still am. 2 very loving parents, and they're still together. They've been married 36 years, happening this spring. And
Awesome.
I wasn't like the most popular kid, but I was good at a couple things. I played guitar. I played sports. I was good. But the main thing, the thing that got me to start winning, it wasn't really until I was 17, but I started meditating on a daily basis. Because prior to that, I had been going to the gym, and it was the first time in my life that I saw that daily incremental progress could lead to like a beautiful result. First time I ever saw it. So I'd go to the gym for 6 months. I was seeing, I'm toning up. People are looking at me differently. I was getting attention from women in a way that I wasn't before. And as a junior in high school, that's like gold. Like that's it right there. That's the bee's knees. And then somebody told me, hey, listen, meditation can do for the mind what the gym can do for the body. I'm like, oh shit. And you can literally make yourself smarter and your life's just going to be better and all around. So I found this app called Headspace. Yeah, I found this app called Headspace, which is guided meditation. And the cool thing about that is when you sit down and you listen to it, it's guided meditation. They tell you exactly what to do so that you're not sitting there and being like, am I doing this right? Because that's the opposite of meditation. That's like anti-meditation. Yeah. So I started with that, doing 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And I'll tell you guys what, I've been meditating every single day for the past 10 years. I've been doing it 2 hours a day for like 6 years, right? And that's, if you want to talk about a superpower, that's the superpower. That's the one where you start winning. It starts compounding, not just in, one aspect of life or the other, but like in every aspect of life. It's not like I have this amazing company, I'm really good at sales, but my social life sucks. Or like I have a bad relationship with my parents over here. Or if I feel like really unfulfilled over here. It's like everything starts winning. You don't have to sacrifice one thing for the next. Maybe put it on a back burner and you focus on something. But meditation, I would attribute about 95% of my success to that daily practice.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm in, like, because I think that was like so inspirational. Like for me, it's, it's always like, one thing's winning, right? My business is winning, but maybe your relationship is suffering, or your social life, or whatever it might be. And then you start feeding into those, and then your business. So I think that that's just like so amazing to see like how that's like been so transformative, and that 10 years and now you're up to 2 hours. Like I'm that kind of person where it's like they say, everything goes silent and dark for 2 minutes. And I'm like, has it been 2 hours? Like it's weird if you try it and you've never done it. Like 2 minutes, silence, no like darkness or whatever. It can feel like a long time. So
yeah,
that's awesome. I'm going to download that app.
You totally should. Yeah. And they say, Ashley, if you don't have 10 minutes to meditate, you need an hour. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, and
Yeah.
too, like the longer I've gone, in business, for me, it's been 7 years and I have 12 employees now. And a lot of things that I've done is outside of my comfort zone and things that I'm naturally good at. And I can see how like meditating could kind of be that calm in my storm, because there's so many days at this point in my life where the day goes by and it's just like, throwing stuff at you. And I'm like, I was busy nonstop all day, but what did I even do? And like my short term memory and stuff, I can tell is like having, struggling. So I could see how just like meditating could be like a really powerful tool. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah. Hey,
Awesome.
one other thing I want to add, and I'll segue it in. So growing up, my father was in insurance for 40 years. He's still in insurance, 45 years. He told me
Wow.
two things throughout my entire childhood. This goes back into how I got into insurance. He told me two things throughout my entire childhood. First thing he said, and I was the only child, so all the attention's on me, is kid, one thing, no matter what you do, if you have kids, get married first. I'm like, all right, fine. The second thing, resounding theme throughout my entire childhood. Second thing, whatever you do not do insurance.
Wow.
Right? So, because he was like, in his career was more like this. It wasn't like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when I first got into life insurance, I'm like, hey, listen, I'll go to the meeting, but I'm not gonna, say anything. I'm not gonna sign up. But here I am. But the way that MediZeus came into play is I did really well with that 600 in my first 12 months, but I noticed that I had 100 of them fall off the books. It's like 100, 110 of them. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Nobody told me. I didn't find out until it's too late. And then CMS said it's non-compliant. Call your beneficiary once they've disenrolled. I'm like, fuck that. I'm calling some of them. What happened? Hey, I don't know. I still have the plan that you signed me up for. I'm like, no, no, you didn't. Did you talk to Joe Namath? You know what I'm saying? Did you talk to Joe Namath? They're like, I guess so. I'm like, listen, I got you. But I realized there's a big issue here. Now, on Humana, I would look in my book of business on Vantage, and it would tell me future term report, meaning that these are all the clients that you have that are disenrolling at the end of the month or the end of the year if it's during AEP. I'm saying to myself, that is the bee's knees. Now, why is there a software out there that'll do that cross carrier, and it'll tell me where that client is going, like what the future plan is? And I couldn't find anywhere, so I had a developer build it. Now you're saying, well, how do you build that? Like, it's never been built before. What I would do with all my clients, meeting them face to face, because what happens, you guys know this. Hey, what plan are you on? What plan are you on, Rob? And they give you 4 Advantage cards, and you're like, yeah, I don't know which one is current. So what I would do is be like, just give me your Medicare card, the red, white, and blue one, and I'll go into Medicare.gov and I'll see what plan you have. I'll make you an account, but that way I can see your account. I'll give it the username and password after this. They're like, deal. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'd go and do that, and I'd look and I'd see their actual current plan. Now, sometimes I would see the future plan that was starting, let's just say in April, for example. Be like, oh, you're signed up for this new, this new plan starting in April. You know about that? Some of them would say, yeah. Some of them would be like, what? So that's how I knew, okay, listen, the data is there, right? The data is in the system. CMS has it somewhere. It's just not visible to me en masse, in bulk. So the way that the original...
And pause 1 second. I was going to say, I had no idea about that. So I just learned something new. I didn't know that you could go in there and like actually see that if they set up a Medicare.gov account. So you can continue, but I'm like, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, you can do it. And the other cool thing, you probably know this, but in their Medicare.gov account, you could see all of their recently filled drugs. So I wouldn't harp on drugs and asking for drug bottles. I would just go into the Medicare.gov account and see all their drugs. I just had a list of drugs.
Wow.
Yeah. So I thought about creating a product for that too. But anyway, so the prototype, which would eventually become MediZeus, was actually a Google Chrome extension, right? That you can download from the Chrome
No
store.
way.
And yeah, and I didn't have a CRM. By the way, all these agents are harping about, oh, you need this CRM, this CRM. Bro, I had 600 clients on the books in a year. I didn't have a CRM. I barely put them on a spreadsheet, right? So I just had them listed in Google Sheets, and one of the columns was Medicare.gov username, and another column was Medicare.gov password. So I'm like, I have everybody. Why can't I just have something like just log in and log out, log in, log out, like scrape all the data and see if anybody's moving? So I had a developer build that, and it worked. And the first time we ran it on December 8th of 2022. So the day after AEP ended in 2022, so like 2 AEPs ago. And I saw that I had, I don't know, 15 or 16 clients leaving. And in the next couple of days, I called up all of them, and I saved 8 of them. 1,000 of them, I saved 8. I saved like half my clients that were leaving my book of business getting
Wow.
flipped during AEP. I'm like, holy guacamole. I showed it to my upline because he knew what I was doing, and he saved like 12 of them. He had like 30 people leaving. He saved 12 of them. That's money right there.
Wow.
And he's like, dude, this
Yeah.
thing's legit. Yeah, because it would tell us that they're leaving, and then it would show us what plan they're going to. So he's like,
Yeah.
there's tons of agents that have this issue. I mean, the entire industry has this issue. Dude, get this approved by CMS, get some sort of API, make it into a product, and sell to other agents. And so that's what 2023 was all about. I still produced, but it was all about getting MediZeus compliant, packaged together in a proper software product, and launching that. And we launched October 1st of 2023, so about 5 months ago. And that's how it came to.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. Like, my head's just like kind of thinking of all the ways. I mean, that's something that I've struggled with. And also being an agency owner with employees, which is different than a lot of the models in Medicare. It's more you're an agent, you have your book. So we have logins, right, across 12 people. And so I'm getting the notifications, right? But if I want to get, Tyler's or Will's or whoever on my team, I got to log in as them, look at this account, look at Humana, look at this one. And it's like mind boggling. And it's like retention as you grow your book is such an important thing. And like you said, people will sign up without realizing that, oh, well, they had all this other information. I gave them my Medicare number and now I have this other plan. And you're like, what? So I think that it's just so cool. And literally, if you take the list of people of your clients, then you can track them. Like, is that all that you need is just their information?
Oh, yeah. So to use MediZeus, you import your book of business from your CRM, and all it uses is the MBI and the date of birth. That's all you need on your clients. Now, if you don't track that,
Wow.
you got to rewind and get that. But most agents probably train them to
Yeah.
take down the date of birth. As long as you have that, MediZeus will be compatible with your CRM, and you can what's called fetch. We use that term. It's a button in MediZeus, but you hit fetch, and it's going to ping CMS for all your clients, and it's going to run a Medicare eligibility check the same way that you would on the carrier portals, but it's going to do it in bulk in basically like one click, right? And it takes about 1 to 2 minutes to go grab a coffee or work on something else. But it's going to populate. I mean, I can show you guys a demo if you want. It's going to populate all the data. It'll show you their current plan, their current contract number, and their current enrollment date. So like, let's just say it's Humana Gold Plus. You can see their current contract number, see their current enrollment date. So you're like, oh yeah, I enrolled them then on that plan. And then if they have a future plan, it'll show the future plan. If they don't have a future plan, then it'll just be blank on a couple of the columns, but it'll show the future plan. So it'll show the future contract ID, future plan name, and future enrollment date. So they're going to United Healthcare April 1st, and it's ARP plan 1 or something. And then we also pull their first name, last name, address, city, state, zip code from CMS. We pull their LIS level with co-payment percentage. So she'll like L1 100%, L4 50%. And we also pull their Medicaid indicator, not their actual level, but their indicator. So it'll show Medicaid yes or no. And we do that for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So we have all that data in one spreadsheet.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so
And then
cool.
from there, it's up to you to realize if the future plan was, if you wrote the future plan or somebody else did. Right? We're
Right.
going to release a feature. Yeah, we're going to release a feature that's going to make it a lot easier to do that cross-reference. But for right now, it's up to you to figure out, okay, was the future plan written by me or somebody else?
Yeah, that's huge though. I mean, to have like the time that you take to, maybe more than one meeting, to get someone signed up. Plus, if you had marketing or whatever dollars, it took to even get that client to find you, retention is like the name of the game. Like if you're just selling and then losing, you're having to work, twice as hard. So any tools for retention is huge. So if someone signs up, is it like a monthly subscription, or is it like how does that work?
Yeah, great question. So we give you a 30-day free trial on every account, no credit card asked. And you have full features for 30 days, which is a full month's life cycle. So use it during your 30 days. After that, if you want to keep it, it's $89 a month. Or if you pay annually, you get a 20% off. So my goal for every user is to save at least 3 clients during their free trial. You save 3 clients through your free trial. Let's just say you're getting street comp, $300 a sale. That's it. They saved you $900. They saved you $1,000, right, in commission during it up and the pitch to agents. Now, if that value proposition isn't easy enough for you, you save 3 clients in a year. That pays for itself. We have agents. I mean, we had an agent come to us. Her book of business wasn't even that big. She saved 20 clients in her first month, which was during AEP. We have phenomenal testimonials because the service we provide is really needed. And it's okay. There's layers to this because we originally built MediZeus to be an agent retention tool to help us with our bank account. And then we started getting feedback of, dude, this is really impactful. My clients love this, right? When I tell my client, like agents have said this, when I tell my clients that I'm using a software that won't let them get flipped to another agent, they're like, hell yeah, that's awesome. And then we realized, holy crap, this is reducing complaints. Because what's the number one complaint, Rob? What's the number one complaint that gets filed to CMS?
I didn't sign up for that plan.
I got signed up for a plan that I didn't know about. Or
Yeah.
number two is I got signed up for a plan that isn't what they told me it would be. Right? This thing isn't this. Benefit isn't.
Yeah, I thought it was signing up for a Medicare supplement, not a Medicare Advantage. No.
Right. Or what's an HMO? PPO. So complaints to Medicare, okay, CTM, another acronym. CTM isn't talked about a lot, but CTM doubled, right? The number of complaints doubled between 2021 and 2022. Now, CMS doesn't legally have to produce that data and publish it. But a news article did come out, I think it was NPR, and said it doubled. We don't know what the number is, but it doubled. Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot. The other thing is that CMS itself does not have to investigate the complaints. They will propose a new law or regulation, but they're not the enforcers, meaning that to do an investigation takes time. And what is time? Time is money. Who does the investigations? The carriers.
Yeah.
Right? So if you have a complaint, Cigna's the one responsible. They're going to reach out to you. They're going to do the investigation. They're going to get your testimony. They're going to get the client's testimony. They're going to cross-reference it. And they're going to come up with a decision. Well, now, okay, and it costs the carriers money for each complaint. Right? We have our client acquisition costs. The carriers have complaint costs, whether it be $100, $200, $300, whatever it might be. All I can tell you is that when CMS made that new rule where every single call had to be recorded, now for each complaint, they have to listen to a 45-hour-long conversation, right? So a complaint that took 20 minutes before now takes an hour, hour and a half to investigate. And then it isn't free money, right? And these aren't like offshore people getting paid to listen to these calls.
Yeah.
Like these are compliance department employees. So the carriers, right, they're not going to express this publicly, but the carriers are like, God damn, our costs for investigating complaints are going up. So now that MediZeus exists, we've had carriers reach out and be like, dude, can we show our sales teams this? I'm like, hell yeah. It's going to reduce complaints. They're like, yeah, it's going to reduce complaints. Jesus, this helps us. So MediZeus was made for agents. Then we realized, all right, it's really good for the senior. Then it's really good for the carrier. It's a win for the carrier because it reduces costs that way. And then if we just reduce complaints in general, then it makes CMS look better. And it just makes Medicare look better. It makes the whole like PR of the program to begin with look better. So it's just a win-win-win.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so cool.
One step at a time. I mean, we're not going to change the whole game for the entire country, but like we contribute in the way that we can, right? You're responsible for your own.
I was just about to say that
it
sounds like you guys are trying to change the face of Medicare, man.
Well, not necessarily. We were just trying to make our retention better, but yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So, one of the things that I did want to ask you, especially being that now MediZeus is a thing. It's something that a lot of Medicare agents can use, and it'll, just like you said, be a win-win-win. If you had to go back to when you first got into Medicare, is there anything you would do differently? Or just for a newer agent in general, what are some things that they should really focus on?
I would have used Sunfire from day one. I was logging into all these carrier portals to submit enrollment applications. I didn't know that Sunfire existed until after the 600. I'm like, wow. That would have done. Yeah. I would just submit it on like Humana.com, whatever it was. So there's that. I don't think I could have like cranked it harder sales-wise. So I think I feel very, very good about that I gave it my all.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that creates peace in the long term because there's not that what if going in your head, like what if I had tried harder, spent more on leads or dialed more,
right,
spent more time in the field. So I don't have anything to say regarding that, but the honest first off the top of my head would be leveraging technology in the beginning, especially Sunfire.
So question I have, when you were talking about your dad, you're speaking really highly of him and you're talking about his career in insurance. One, he said, don't ever get into insurance. Two, you said it was like kind of linear. Is there something that I'm sure he's beyond proud of you. Is there anything that like he wishes he would have done differently, or maybe like he's talked about in his business, like maybe what were some things that like were hard for him in the insurance world, or that like maybe could have, made his outlook on it, more positive? Or
I never really talked to him that much in depth. He was more PNC and doing a lot of bigger commercial stuff. I don't really understand that side of the business enough to really like go toe to toe with him. But I would ask him like, hey, what was your marketing strategy like? And I don't remember what he said, but I'm like, that's fucking terrible. Like, no one, like my mom was the breadwinner. Just so everybody knows, my mom was the breadwinner growing up. My dad had like a kind of like a hobby job, but I would wake up, my mom would be at work, and I'd come home for dinner, and my mom would be home for dinner. But my dad was the one that was with me to bring me to school, or bring me to the bus stop, and I could just tell that there was something that held my dad back, whether it be I remember being like 5 or 6 and asking my dad, hey, what are you working on? And my dad responded back like, yeah, I'm going to close a deal. It's going to give me $400. And you know what I thought? I'm like, that's not a lot of money. What the fuck are you doing? I'm like, what? So like my allowance is like $10 a week. Like, anyway, so that was, I even realized back then, I'm like, what are we doing here? If you're doing the same thing for what 40 years and you're still making the same amount of money, there, what's Einstein's definition of insanity?
Yeah.
Right? So I knew that there was something there, and I love my father. Listen, I am where I am today because of him.
Yeah.
For better for worse, right? I've learned a lot from by example or not example, right? And when I got into insurance, it was kind of, I didn't tell them, my dad or my mom, that I got into insurance, right? Because I knew in my head, my dad would be like, "Oh, you're not going to do anything with that." So in my head, I'm like, no, this is going back to when I first got in. In my head, I'm like, dude, I'm going to write 20 grand my first month and tell them to, I can't say that bad of a word, but like I tell them to go on sand, right? And so I do 20K my first month and legit paid business. And they call me up, they're like, "How you doing? What's work like?" And I told them, and it felt great. So good. I was like, you can't doubt me now. What are you gonna say? Ha ha. You know? And it's not like I got into insurance because I wanted to help a lot of seniors. I just wanted to run leads and make some money for myself. And eventually, once I like wasn't broke, then I could enjoy the journey. But in the beginning, it was like, I'm gonna do it to spite my parents. I'm gonna do it to start my career, and I'm gonna do it because I owe it to myself. But it wasn't out of the joy of my heart. If I'm being like completely honest with everybody.
Yeah.
It's kind of mainly out of spite of my dad. You know, even if I don't do anything with it, at least I got 1 month to tell him to go. You know, it's like.
It's so funny because like it's like for me it was like the total opposite. Like I felt like all this like calling and purpose, like, oh, I want to do this to help people and everything. And then there was a point though, like I think my pivotal like turning point too is just like I didn't start out like super confident. And so I wasn't like, out there talking about my business, getting out there, letting people know what I was doing. And so therefore I didn't really have anybody to help. And then, once I got out of my own way, I mean, everything changed. So I can totally relate to that. And I bet your dad's like beyond proud. Like, I'm proud of you. And like all the stuff you're accomplishing, like, it's amazing.
Yeah, and it's really good to see some young blood in the game. Seeing
Yes.
people go out there and just crush it. I think that's just something right now the world needs. Just
Dude, it's what young men need.
Yeah.
Like you were looking at getting into the service. That's a noble job, but when you have a 17, 8-year-old dude, or even like I can only speak for men, and they want to look at university, I'm like, dude, if you want to be broke and poor and stupid your whole life, go to university. Dude, you'll download all of the limiting beliefs and all the bullshit scripts that they'll give you, and you'll be like $150,000 in debt, and you don't know what an interest rate is right now, but you're gonna have to pay interest on that debt too, and you're gonna be 4 years behind everybody else. Just buy some leads and door knock and run some final expense or Medicare leads. But Ashley, for you, I know you're growing an agency. If you're trying to recruit agents, right? One of your ads, this just came to me. One of your ads could be, "Hey, join our agency out of spite for your parents, and let them like use this as a way to prove it to them that they shouldn't doubt you," right?
Yeah.
And then you'll hire people like me.
I would love to hire people like you. I mean, I think sometimes it's crazy, but I mean, there's not a lot of people like you in this world. So that's why we're so excited about having you on here, because I mean, like you have just kind of like taken that path and like just have that drive and dedication. And a lot of people don't have that like same spirit. And I think when you do, that's really what drives you or your purpose. It seems like those people always end up being successful because they're not going to stop. It doesn't matter. And I was the same way. It was like, if this doesn't work, I'm going to try this. And if that doesn't work, it was like, no was nothing to me. It was just like, okay, one more till I get yes. So I'm just going to keep going.
Right, totally. Amen. And when we were building MediZeus, They were, I'll tell you guys what, the insurance gods, okay, the insurance gods wanted MediZeus to come into existence. I'll tell you why. There was 3 bullets that basically killed MediZeus. It took a year to develop it. There were 3 bullets. Under normal circumstances, would have completely ended the project, but it was just like swinging from one rope and like grabbing the next one, and like 1 out of 100 chance happened 3 times to get past these 3 otherwise project stopping obstacles. So it's just perseverance and making it happen. You got to make it happen. You got to make it happen for yourself and for other people that are going to benefit, accomplish whatever goal that you're, setting out to accomplish.
I thought it was impressive that you got like CMS. I mean, to me, that's always like, it doesn't even matter if I'm not doing anything like wrong. I'm still like scared. So it's like, I think that that's like super awesome that it's like everything's been approved through CMS. Like that's huge.
Yeah. I mean, like the first thing, not to go in, like that was one of the things we didn't get approved at first. But I mean, we had a developer that wasn't HIPAA compliant, so we had to hire a new developer to take over the project. Wow. We didn't get approved for the API. We had to resubmit a bunch of shit. And then we have to be HIPAA compliant and SOC 2 certified, right? It's a fucking nightmare. Right? I'm an insurance agent. I don't do this stuff, I knock on doors and sell you Medicare. And I'm not even supposed to do that. I'm trying to get an API to pull eligibility data. So, we had some help, a couple consultants that we leveraged. We eventually got it approved. But, people are benefiting. We're 5 months in. We have 450 users and some great success stories and a lot of people that are benefiting from the service. So, we're not profitable yet. It took 5 times the amount of money more than I thought it would take to develop it. But here we are, and I'm glad it exists. A lot of people are too.
Get ready for a 451.
Good to have you.
Awesome. Yeah, MediZeus is something that I'm sure is going to be around for as long as that issue continues, which will be forever, is what it sounds like. Cool. Awesome, man. Well, if you guys have any closing thoughts, we can get those out now. If not, we'll wrap this bad boy up. This has been a killer show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, thank you.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Cool. Well, thanks for hopping on here, man. Like I said, tons of valuable information, not only with sales, but marketing, how you got started, mindset. I feel like we covered so much. Like
covered it all.
Yeah,
we were thorough.
Literally everything. If somebody wants to know exactly what it takes to win, they just need to watch this episode. That's it. Yeah. You can take an hour and 10 minutes out of your life and it'll be changed forever. So cool. Awesome. If anybody wants to look into MediZeus, where do they go, Evan?
MediZeus.com, MEDIZUES.com.
It's funny you say that because when I first looked it up, I think I spelled it wrong. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
No. You spelled it. Listen, you spelled Zeus correctly. ZEUS.
Right.
And okay. Before we wrap up.
Is there anything to that?
Yeah. This is what not happened. Okay, this did not happen.
Okay.
I tried to get MediZeus, ZEUS.com, and it was taken. So I just switched the letters. Okay, that did not happen. I thought that Zeus was spelled ZUES. When the hell who uses that word? How often do you spell Zeus? So I'm like, oh, sick. The website's open. I'm like, this is great. So I bought it. And my lawyer didn't say anything.
Wow.
Because a lawyer is there to help you with law. It wasn't until I actually formed the LLC and somebody was like, why'd you spell it that way? I'm like, oh, shit, it's too late. So, yeah, I mean, the other website is taken. I think MediZeus, ZEUS, is some like clinic and somewhere. But yeah, we're coming for you, Merriam-Webster. Yeah, we're gonna rename this goddamn word.
There we go. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, man. This was a blast.
Thank you
Yeah,
guys.
thank you so much.
I want to tell you a little bit more about Medicare Masterclass. Medicare Masterclass is a training platform specifically for agents who want to sell more Medicare. And it's built by a Medicare agent named Ashley Van Gundy, who consistently writes over 150 policies per month, even outside of AEP. So I'm going to say that again. Over 150 policies per month, even outside of AEP. And she doesn't run a massive team. She has a really great sales process and her marketing is dialed in. So what does Medicare Masterclass include? Exactly how to do that and much more. So you have the 7-step talk path to show you exactly what to say. And then you'll also have lead generation mastery to show you how to dial in your marketing and have more leads than minutes in the day. So if you want to sell more Medicare, this is the best training available on the market. To enroll, go to MedicareMasterclass.com.